Welcome to another Let's Play of Quest for Glory 4. I am your host, Anna Mardal. When we last left off, and spoilers, if you haven't watched the other videos, don't listen to this part. We had gone to the castle intending to meet with Katrina, only to realize that we had been fooled by Aravis, and he took us into captivity, threw us in the dungeon, and tried to arrange for us to kill Katrina, which would have freed him from his bondage to her. We did not kill her. We woke her instead, though she seemed to misunderstand the gesture, which I guess is fair if that's your biggest fear. And she put a geas on us to magically force us to retrieve the 5 Dark One rituals, which I guess she doesn't have. We do have those in our inventory, so today we are going to be going into the end game and giving those to her and seeing the ending for the magic user. But I did want to make a couple of observations before we start. Because I went away from the game and I had to sleep and I went and ran some grocery errands and I had some thoughts. And my thoughts are this. When I was younger, I felt a lot more sympathy for Katrina over the whole Tanya situation. Because, I mean, obviously she can't have children of her own. Her longing for a child was very, real and genuine. And also, just when I was a kid, whenever someone was really passionate about something, I tended to feel like they, if not in the right, that they felt they were in the right, and that counted for something. And I'm older now, and I care a lot less about passion and a lot more about other things. And also, I've had infertility experiences of my own, and I've thought about and looked into adoption and wrestled with the ethics of adoption. And so, I'm coming to this from a much different perspective than when I was younger, and I didn't know quite as much about what Katrina was going through. And funnily enough, I actually feel less sympathy for her, and I want to talk about why. There are 2 different ways to make a vampire in this mythos that we're playing in right now. There is the for real 100% vampire with the glowing eyes and the can't walk in the daylight and all that good stuff. And that's when a vampire shares their blood with their victim and drains them and kills them. And that is what Katrina did with Tanya. There is also the human vampire option, where the vampire shares their blood with their victim, but doesn't drain them to death. And so they go on and continue being, to all intents and purposes, a human. And they live a natural life, and nobody would ever suspect that they were secretly a vampire in waiting, so to speak. They're a potential vampire. Which is what Katrina did with Aravis. She turned him into a potential vampire, and then he went on and lived a human life. And when he was, say, 70 or 80 years old, we don't know how old, he died of natural causes. Well, he died of us, and then he turned into a for realsy vampire with the glowing eyes and everything else. But he had a life during those years that he was still human. Katrina could have taken Tanya. Okay, Tanya's unhappy. Tanya's having trouble with her parents and family. Katrina could have taken Tanya and turned her into a vampire in waiting, a human vampire, we're going to call it, the way she did Aravis. That would have allowed Tanya to grow up. It would have allowed her to have the advantages of a human life, of growing older, of developing, of growing an adult body, of growing an adult mind. And it also would have given Tanya the option to go back to town and live with the townspeople if she ever changed her mind and decided she wanted to do that. Because to all intents and purposes, she would look human. They could put her in the sunlight and nope, sunlight's fine. She wouldn't be drinking blood. She wouldn't have glowing eyes. She would be a human to as far as they knew. Katrina did not do that with Tanya. Instead, she did the full vampire transformation with the, kill her and end her life. And then she goes into basically static, unchanging, never growing or becoming anything more. I can only think of 2 reasons to do this. The first reason would be that perhaps Katrina knows that she can't control herself with her human thralls, and she has a habit of feeding on them. We don't have any evidence of that. That's just me throwing that out there. But we do know that when the hero asked to kiss her, she declined because she said she wanted to, but she didn't trust herself to... She didn't trust herself, which in retrospect probably meant didn't trust herself to not suck our blood. So, okay, maybe Katrina feeds on her human thralls. And she would naturally not want to feed on Tanya because that would be upsetting for the little girl. If that was her reasoning, then okay, it makes sense. But I have a lot of feelings about Aravis's captivity. No wonder he takes his bondage so seriously and hates her so much. I mean, I used to feel like he was really nursing a grudge here and let it go, man. But if she has been feeding on him for those 50 years where she kept him as a servant, I'd be pretty upset too. I'd be pretty terrorized and would want to kill her as well. I mean, okay, yeah, I'm kind of, I get where he's coming from. So that would be one thing. If Katrina can't help herself from feeding on the humans that live in her presence, then it makes sense not to turn Tanya into a human vampire. It makes sense to go the full 9 yards and turn her into a vampire and just get it over with right away rather than terrorize her needlessly. The only other reason I can think of for not turning Tanya into a human vampire would be because Katrina knew in her heart of hearts that if Tanya were given the option, she would eventually want to go home to her parents. Which is exactly what happened. We came in and said, hey, your parents miss you. Would you like to go see them? And Tanya leapt at the opportunity when given the chance. So that is the only other reason I can think to not give her the advantages of the human vampirism. Because the human vampirism would keep her safe. Like, Katrina could know that even if there was an accident and, the castle collapsed on Tanya's head and she died, she would still live on because she's immortal. She's just not a vampire fully yet. It would have given her the chance to actually grow up, to develop an adult body, an adult mind, adult opinions, more than just being trapped in a child's body and mind forever and ever in just a sort of stasis. But Katrina didn't do that. Katrina chose to keep her as a little girl forever without any kind of consideration of whether she would even want that. And to me, I think that really underscores just how profoundly selfish Katrina was in making this decision because, she doesn't make the decision based on what's best for Tanya. She makes the decision based on what's best for her. Because if she was making the decision based on what's best for Tanya, there was a whole other option there, and Katrina just blew right past it. And I think that's important whenever we talk about the situation and when we talk about Katrina as a character, because I mean, she was clearly, they were trying to kind of wooby her and make you care about her in spite of the fact that she's, you know, a master vampire who has been manipulating you and lying to you and hurting you. You're intended to care about her as a person, and I do care about her as a person. But it's also important to understand that this wasn't just a case of a poor infertile woman who can't have babies taking a child who she thought was miserable from parents who she thought was abusive, and giving her a better life, and it was all just a big misunderstanding. It was not a big misunderstanding. Katrina had other choices, other better ways to give Tanya a better life, and she chose the ones which most benefited her. She chose the ones which gave her a forever little girl, and which gave her the security and safety of knowing that Tanya could never leave her, could never go back to the village, instead of going the harder route of making her a human vampire who won't die, but who still has choices and ways to interact with the bigger outside world. Katrina could have done that and didn't. And so I think that's important. Anyway, I've jabbered on for enough now. Let's actually play the game. I bring up a lot of that because it's going to be, how do I say this? It will be relevant later. Because we're not done dealing with Katrina yet. Obviously. Major character. So let's go downstairs and get our breakfast. Possibly last breakfast we'll ever eat. Possibly the last breakfast anyone will ever eat if we screw up this whole dark one thing. Okay, nothing new there. Nothing new there. So we're gonna head out.
The days are getting cooler and shorter. Winter is approaching.
Yes, it is. I do not think there is anything we need to do over here. But I'm going to do something anyway because I want to show it to you.
Bad place. Very bad place. Go away. You'll be very sorry.
You know, Igor, you have seen me go in and out of there at least 3 times.
You push
now.
the Dark One sign into the indentation on the door. It fits perfectly.
You gotta believe in me, buddy. There is nothing left for us to do in here. So we're going to go in the basement. You may remember that there was a book in the basement. There we go.
There is a huge book on the altar. The binding looks like stretched human skin, with letters and markings written in dried blood. The letters spell out necrophilicon. What could that mean?
I wonder how you tell the difference between stretched human skin and
That's
stretched...
it. Something like the Silmarillion for of the love of death. Ugh. There's something very, very wrong and dangerous about this book.
So, if we were to walk over to the book and try to read it, it actually kills us. Which I guess I can show. Why not? Game's been getting longer and longer about saves and restores.
The huge book on the altar looks fascinating. You could almost swear you saw it move. The title says Necrophilicon. Haven't you heard about this book somewhere?
It smushed us. Maybe you should have judged this book by the cover. Anyway, the judgment seems to have gone against you. In fact, they threw the book at you. Ha ha ha. So I think we're all in agreement that this monastery is a very bad place. We know that it has consumed several adventurers over the years, and that people who poke around it tend to not come back alive. Which is not surprising, because I've counted at least 3 different ways you can die in this building. And probably some more that we haven't thought of. So, since we're done with it, and since we don't need to come back here anymore, in reckless disregard of town safety regulations, let's set it on fire.
The ancient book catches fire instantly and burns far brighter than you would have imagined. You hightail it out of the monastery basement.
Whoosh.
You retrieve the Dark One sign from the monastery door, then quickly step away before the hectopus can react.
If Igor get big hero job, can he be pyromaniac too?
I never heard him say that before. Usually I set the monastery on fire at night. And it looks beautiful at night.
It looks pretty much as it looks. You tell why you burned the monastery.
Next time, bring Igor marshmallows.
Bless him.
Nice.
Nice fire.
If Igor be adventurer, can Igor be arsonist too?
No, Igor.
That smoke make Igor want to start coughing. Little graveyard humor there.
You have to admire his dedication to those puns.
Building rock, not burn other buildings. Bad building, burn. Good. Give Igor heebie-jeebies.
Well, there you go. So he's saying that because the monastery is mostly rock, that it's not a danger to the rest of the town for the interior contents to burn. So what we're seeing is just the fire fooshing out the windows, but it's not actually going to spread through the town, which is good because...
The strangest thing happened. Someone broke into the old monastery and burned the place down. I don't suppose you'd know anything about this. Is it not a coincidence that I smell smoke as you draw near?
You can't pull anything over Dimitri.
You describe the evil, the terrible evil you found within the monastery, and how you felt it was necessary to burn the place to the ground so that the evil would not spread.
Perhaps I should learn to value your judgment. It is a good thing the place is destroyed. Good luck.
Does he have anything to add?
I keep having this suspicion that you will be getting into even more trouble than you have already. It seems to be your nature.
Sorry.
There are rumors that you have entered the monastery before. It was a bad place, and it is good that it is now gone. It looks as if most of the inside was pretty much burned away. It is no great loss to the town and a vast improvement.
Okay, I don't think anyone else has anything to say about that, although I guess we could find out.
I heard that someone burned down the old monastery. Isn't it strange how you were seen around that building recently?
So strange, and definitely a coincidence.
So?
I'm buying a couple more rations just because I can. We have 315 crowns and nothing to spend it on. I really do not understand what the thinking was behind the money drop rate in this area. Let's ask her about the
I
monastery.
have heard tell you were seen near the monastery not long after the folks noticed the fire. I'm not saying you did it, but I'm glad you did. That place was a menace to our town.
It's good that everybody's happy you did it. And aren't like,
Yeah, good enough.
no, our historic building of beauty. Interestingly enough, I do not think you might get some honor points for that, but I do not think that you get any points for story points for that. Hold on. I had to retrieve my story point list where I've been marking things off. But yeah, no, there's nothing on here about burning down the monastery, which is interesting because it's a pretty big event. But I guess maybe they felt it was not intuitive enough to make it a story point thing. So let's save the game. And after you burn the monastery, you cannot go back in again. So hopefully you haven't lost anything that you needed. Can you do that and make the game unwinnable? Probably. Before we go to the castle to turn in our rituals, I do want to go to the camp and talk to Magda one more time. I had thought that there was an end game reading that you could get. And even that she sent word for you to come get a reading before you went on to the end of the game. I don't know if I imagine that or if I'm mixing it up with Quest for Glory 2, where you do have like they're like, come to the poetry before you leave on the caravan, and there was a final message from okay guys, God, every single time. So I might be mixing that up with Quest for Glory 2. That sounds like something I'd do.
Welcome. I know that you have been through much since last we saw you. I have tried to read your fortune for you while you were gone. All the cards came up black. Then I had a vision. It was a dark vision. It left me cold and sick, yet I knew the vision was true. Now I will show you my vision and read your future once more in the tarot cards. And this time, darling, I won't even charge you for it. The Dark One is not something of which the gypsies speak. It was an ill day when our tribe traveled to this valley. We used to trade freely with the people of the castle years ago. We did not know how things had changed here. The influence of the Dark One overshadows this valley. We gypsies know better than to get involved with the Dark One. You need to deal in some way with the darkness, and we gypsies are bound by honor to aid you however we can. Yet, if your actions stir the darkness and unleash it, our tribe will be destroyed. Still, you are an agent of destiny, and we will serve you as you serve it. The magic of the Dark One overwhelms this area, and the cards cannot override this power. Last night, I had a dream. It was a dark dream, and it frightened me. but it was a dream for you. Let me share with you the images which I saw, and perhaps the cards will aid in the telling. The first image I saw was that of a bone. I heard in my dreams the words, "Bring me to life." Now, let us see what the cards will say of this. Somehow, I do not think this is a premonition, although it fits the situation. No. I think this is a place, a tomb or cenotaph. Now, what more can we learn? Of all the cards, this is the most watery. The tomb lies in or near some water. The lake, perhaps. No. Rather, I believe this is the swamp. Somewhere in the swamp lies a tomb. And somewhere at that tomb is a piece of the puzzle that explains or deals with the image of the bones. But I sense that you already have the answer to that problem. So perhaps you know more of this than I.
So we're going through the rituals, it seems.
Oh, in my dream, I seem to move deeper into the darkness. The next image I saw in my dream was that of blood. I felt my own blood go cold as it too spoke the words, "Bring me to life." What do the cards say of this? The tower. This is always an ill omen. I believe it represents a building of some sort. Let us learn more. The Dark One. The building is dedicated to the Dark One itself. Somewhere within there lies the puzzle piece for the blood. However, I sense that you already contain that piece.
So that'd be the monastery.
In the dream, I seemed to get colder. I felt the icy breath of something huge before me. It got louder and stronger, and I seemed to be pulled by it. Before me was the image of breath. I felt myself pounded by the words, "Bring me to life, bring me to life." I tried to run, but I was caught in the wind. But the dream is over. Now, let us discover what we can. This one is not a place. No, I believe this is the woman from your past. The self-centered one of power has the secrets to the breath. But you have already dealt with her, for the puzzle piece of the breath now lies with you. Then, in my dream, I felt myself blown along. All sound died, and I felt as if I had lost my body. I could not see, hear, smell, or feel anything. Then I saw the symbol of the senses. I was again overwhelmed by the words, "Bring me to life." Then the image faded. Shall we learn more? Another place of darkness, some building or perhaps only a structure. The next card may help us. The Six of Swords? No, this is a sign of travel. Could it be a building far away? No, it cannot be. This is also the sign of the gypsies. But we have no buildings, particularly ones cursed by the darkness. I don't understand this. Let me discuss this subject with the others of my tribe. Perhaps we may yet make sense of this. To return to my dream, I soon could hear a tremendous pounding noise. I found myself swept forward, deeper, deeper into darkness. There before me was the symbol of the heart. It too commanded, "Bring me to life." What will the cards tell of this? This is an inverted queen of rods, a jealous and deceitful woman, one who harbors no goodwill toward you. There are many women in your life right now. This one is not to be trusted.
I suspect that was the Queen
This
of
woman
Fairy.
also has magic, but the magician card is inverted. That implies that she is one who is willing to use her skills for bad purposes. She is opposed to you and will not give this puzzle piece freely. I can tell that this part of the puzzle has already been gained by you. Let us continue. Oh, again, the dream filled me with fear, and I struggled to awaken from its depths. I could not resist against its force, so I found myself in the center of darkness. I saw before me this symbol and heard the voice demand, "Give me life." I awoke and lay trembling for the rest of the night. Ah, let us see where the last part of the puzzle lies. The Hierophant, the sign of a spiritual leader. This person is one who serves another willingly. There are many possible interpretations here. Now, let us see what the next card will explain. The Dark One. Oh, this is a priest of the Dark One, or someone trapped by the Dark One, or perhaps both. You will have to enter into darkness itself to find this piece. Yet remember, nothing serves the Dark One and remains unchanged. The one who has what you seek is of the Dark One now. Deal with him carefully. These last cards will reveal the point of all these visions and dreams. The Dark One! The Lady of Power and Magic.
That would be Irana.
The Dark One is the ultimate source of all the problems here, yes. It drew those with ties to dark magic and those with ties to good. It is a thing not of this world, yet linked to it. My people tell tales of the battle against it. The stories tell of how the mage Irana held off the Dark One and sent it back, how she died in that battle, and the darkness was banished forever. These were just children's stories told to drive off the terrors of the night. What truly happened in that battle, we do not know. It is clear that the battle never ended, and the darkness still draws allies to its side. Just as you were drawn here as a pawn in this war, for whose side are you working, huh? It seems that both the Dark One and the magician Irana are using you. How this will end, the cards cannot foresee. The agents of darkness will continue to influence your actions in this matter. For now, I think this serves the purposes of both sides, right? The visions are clear. You will need to walk to the very center of darkness. The battle is stalemate, and only you can determine the winner. Only by turning the war to the Dark One, releasing it, can you free the magician Irana. Unless you do both, you do neither. We gypsies do not speak the names of those with power unless we must. Now I sense that such a time has come. You will know the Dark One by its name, but use it only where you must. The Dark One is called Avuzel. Leave now, and we will speak no more on the subject, except for the gypsy card and the dark building. I am an old wolf, and I cannot stand such a dream as that last night. It would kill me to face it again. That is all the cards can reveal. It took all my power to read this. May it serve you well.
That was a lot. And wow, okay, so I did talk about how the readings in this game are way more useful than the readings in Quest for Glory 3, where the quote-unquote reading was really just a prediction of the ending, so that after the ending was over you could go, oh, that was cool. This one is actually helping you find the missing rituals. If we didn't already have them, and we only have 3 days to find them per the Gias Katrina set on us, this would help us track down the rituals. So that's actually very, very useful. And, we didn't get, I think, the full dialogue because she kept saying, but I see you already have that one. Unless that was just tacked on. So it would be interesting. I had planned for us to, go through as a paladin, and we will. I'm still planning to do that. But it might be interesting as a paladin to not pick up any of the 5 rituals until Katrina Giases us and see if we get any more dialogue here. Particularly these 2 buildings that she spoke of, which were interesting, and I'm not sure what was going on there. The other thing, just for completion, to let you know, most of the cards we just saw are not tarot cards. The pictures of the breath and the heart and all the Dark One symbols of the rituals, those are not tarot cards. Those are created for this game. So that was kind of discombobulating for me to see real tarot cards mixed with fake made-up ones. Other interesting thing is... I do like that the High Priestess card, the Baba Yaga card, came into play again. The first time I played through, the first couple of times I played through, I was very confused by the inverted High Priestess. I didn't know who she was supposed to be. I actually thought that maybe she was supposed to be an earlier version of Katrina, because it was like things that happened in the distant past. So maybe in the distant past, Katrina was this inverted High Priestess, and now she's the Queen of Swords. So that was the best thing I could come up with for a couple of playthroughs, actually. And it was only later that I realized, oh, okay, by distant past, they're referencing I can't think of the word. They're referencing Baba Yaga in the first game, which didn't feel very distant to me because that whole Spielberg thing didn't happen, but maybe a year ago. It's been a pretty quick timeline here, but it was definitely distant past to the developers, distance past in the sense of 4 games ago this happened. Baba Yaga was important to call out. That was the other reason it was hard for me to realize that the High Priestess was Baba Yaga, because she doesn't seem like an important character in this game. I mean, yes, you interact with her in order to help the gnome. Yes, you interact with her in order to get the ritual that was in the Hangman's Tree. But you can do all that in a a matter of an hour, as you saw, and it didn't really seem like she was a major player in here. So giving her a role in the fortune telling cards made about as much sense to me as it would have been to give Bella a role, or Olga at the shop or whatever. But Baba Yaga was really important, helping her and helping the gnome, because the gnome, as you recall, gave us something before he left. He gave us a thing called the ultimate joke. We will need that at the ending. So if you didn't help the gnome, the game is unwinnable. And so that's why Baba Yaga is important. But Baba Yaga is also important because later in this other reading, it was necessary to be able to point to her and say, that's where the ritual is, that's where to go get it. So that's kind of cool. Let's tell her about our Arana, well, greet her
Your
first.
path again crosses ours, and it is well.
You tell about your dream of Irana.
So, Irana still lives, at least in spirit form. Many years ago, the magician Irana came to this valley to prevent the Dark One from entering this world. No one has heard from her since. The cave of the Dark One became her tomb. I gather much of what you dreamed comes from that experience. She is still trapped by the Dark One.
I still feel so bad for her. Oh, tell about Gias.
You tell about Ardavis, Katrina, and the Gears.
So, that is what the reading was about. Things are building to a climax, and you are the center of it all. Oh, that you lived to tell such a tale. This is why you were summoned here, or else we would be hanging garlands of garlic to keep you at bay.
You tell about the gnome and his problems.
You will enter the very center of darkness to destroy it. It went too quickly.
You tell about the gnome
Or
and
to
his
destroy
problems.
us all. Okay, interesting. Bad voice assignment again.
I knew something had happened to you. I caught your scent mixed with necrotars, but the trail ended, and I lost you.
Sweet baby. Sorry.
I was hunting near the castle the other night, and I heard a woman's voice coming from one of the upper windows. She cried out in anger, or in sorrow. How could he? How dare he? My child, my baby. Then the hunt moved on, and I heard no more.
Yeah, and I've already talked about Tanya. I don't need to talk about her again. But I do think it's interesting that Katrina is, if we analyze her behavior, far more selfish than... I mean, realistically, from a game perspective, she didn't really have a choice to make Tanya a vampire, because the game makers needed Tanya to be a vampire so that you could do the switcheroo and change her back. If you just showed up at the castle and there was a little human girl and you were like, do you miss your mommy and daddy? And she was like, yes, I do. I'd like to see them. Then you could just take her to see her mommy and daddy and you wouldn't know that she was a vampire in waiting. So from a gameplay perspective, Tanya had to be changed in order for the game to work and have impact. So in that sense, reading too much into it this proves that that Katrina is a selfish monster who cared more about herself than she cared about Tanya. Yeah, okay, that's not fair, quote unquote, to her as a person. But she's a character in a game, and whether they intended those actions to have impact on her personality or not, they do. So whether that was the development or intent or not. So by virtue of the fact that she made Tanya a vampire so that the player can turn her back, that characterizes her. It has a ripple effect onto her character as someone who is incredibly selfish and who put her desires for having a little girl forever above Tanya's rights to grow up and have a life beyond being this little girl forever. She's not Katrina's doll. So anyway, I've said enough about that. like I said, I don't know that it was intentional. I think it probably wasn't intentional to make Katrina seem like a selfish monster for doing that. But it does fit well with her characterization of someone who self-deludes herself and who pursues goals that ultimately hurt her and others, which is what she's doing with trying to bring the Dark One back. Okay, let's talk about the Dark One.
Now we shall speak openly of an enemy which seeks to make all of us its pawns. It is a thing of dark magic. It is not of this world, but it seeks constantly to enter here. It feeds upon all living things and surrounds itself with darkness. Weak-minded fools worship it, since it promises its followers their every dream. Powerful fools seek to control it, but it too is powerful. Too powerful for anyone to control. Many years ago, a cult tried to summon the Dark One in Mordavia. They would have succeeded, but for a handful of brave men and the magician Irana. You see, it was not entirely driven back to its own world. Dark magic has leaked from the Dark One's cave, perverting this land and twisting the living things here. So, now again, the Dark One seeks to enter this world. Well, this time, you are to be the opener of the way. Everyone else is just a pawn.
Joy.
Irana too is a pawn. Because of her, you will unleash the darkness, so let us pray that you can banish it as well. The magician Irana faced the Dark One at the time of the summoning, and prevented it from entering this world. She was trapped by it as well. You have her staff, and destiny has chosen you to aid her. But to free Irana, you must first free the Dark One. The last boyar was known to be a worshipper of the Dark One. Actually, he was high priest of the cult. He vanished during the time of the summoning.
Oh.
I believe he is the meaning of the Hierophant's card. If the boyar is still alive after all this time, he must be trapped in the Dark One's cave. I shudder to think how he has managed to survive, or what he must have become.
Oh. Okay.
I have a feeling I can answer that question. I am not as mystical as Magda, but I am certain as to the meaning of the Tower and Gypsy cards. I heard a gypsy story once about Mordavia. It seemed pointless, and yet it was told. I shall tell it to you. Once long ago, a gypsy was hunting. This was a time when the pass to Mordavia was open, and the Borgovs still ruled as boyars in the castle. This gypsy saw men walking and chanting through the forest at night. He recognized the leader as the boyar. Curious, he followed them to a place near the Dark One's cave. They came to a large standing stone, gray and unmarked. One of the men held up a strange light. It was a will-o-wisp trapped in a bottle. The standing stone started to glow, and runes appeared on its sides. The boyar touched a metal disc to the stone pillar, and a section opened. The men continued chanting as the boyar put a piece of paper in the pillar. Ah, that is all the story tells.
Well, that was a very clear-cut rendition of the Squid Stone, and bringing the will-o-wisps to the Squid Stone and using the symbol of the Dark One to open it. So if we didn't know how to do it, that's how you would know. So that's pretty cool.
Yes, it is to the rituals that the cards referred. 5 you can find in Mordavia. Oh, and one more is hidden within the Dark One's cave. That leaves only the ritual for the opening of the mouth. And I believe your Katrina must have that one already. How else could you have escaped the cave when first you came here, huh?
So I actually like this a lot because,
You say goodbye.
I wish you well.
that was a lot of information. I had a vague feeling that there was an end game fortune to be told, and so I must have seen that before, but I couldn't remember any of the details. I just remembered that there was something again after all the no fortune, no fortune, no fortune, no fortune. Oh, here we go, one more fortune. But I really liked that because, okay, first of all, we are in a ticking time clock here. So we've got 3 days to fulfill this geas, and I really don't know what happens if you can't do it in 3 days' time. So they basically said, okay, yeah, you're on a time limit, but here's all the answers from somebody with magical foresight, so it makes sense for them to have answers. So they gave you the answers, didn't just leave you hanging. They gave you the answers in a format which made sense for the lore of the game. Ah, crap. I don't want to fight a bunny. They gave the answers in a format which made sense for the lore of the game. And I like and respect that. That's really a neat way to do it. Because at this stage, if you don't have all the rituals already, you as the player might be kind of panicking, like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, now what? I don't even know what to do. I was just courting Katrina or whatever. Well, okay, so you go back to the camp and they say, all right, bucko, here's how you get all of them. So I really liked that, but I also really liked that finally here at the end when they're like, okay, the chips are down, you're gonna go confront the Dark One. We better give you everything we know, and they give us everything that they know, which I think is really nice. So we filled in a lot of lore gaps there, which I really liked. So,
The tower is empty. The gatekeeper is nowhere to be seen.
the gate is open for us to go in, which is grand because we need to go report back to Katrina. But I really am a little freaked out about the fact that Boris is not here. I do know that Boris is alright because you see him in the ending. But the first time I came here and Boris wasn't here, I was freaking out, like, holy crap, did Katrina rip his throat out? Because he was our friend, and he did give us information about the people in the castle. I could see her taking some kind of vengeance on him. So, yeah, I was kind of freaked out that he's just not here. I would have preferred that they put him in town to clarify that, how hard would that be to put him in town and with Olga and have something like, I was given the day off or the week off or whatever. And then you wouldn't feel like, holy crap, is Boris okay? So this is interesting. This is a new screen. We haven't seen this before. This is the gate of the castle. And over here we have Adavis and one presumes Katrina. And she gestured and the doors opened. I don't know, it seems like it would have been easier to just...
Oh, what a good boy you are. You would never do anything to hurt me, would you? Unlike some others I could name. So, you have returned with the rituals. Good. Very good. We will journey at once to the Dark One's cave. Soon, it will be forever night, and I shall never be at anyone's mercy again.
I still feel like this is a bad... Oh, jeez, we just teleported.
Ya Avuzel, hear me, great Dark One. Open thy mouth that we may enter. Open thy mouth that will swallow us all. Open thy mouth of darkness, Ya Avuzel.
That is all I can do for you, Aaron. You will need to perform the other rituals yourself.
We will be watching you, so do not even think of trying to betray us.
The last ritual remains with the High Priest. You will need to take it before you begin the other rituals. Please, be careful.
Yes, we would hate for anything unpleasant to happen to you.
Enter now, and good luck.
I don't know why I'm helping you, but actually I do, and that was another reason why the conversation with Magda was so important, I think, because she sort of summed up and reiterated that in order to bring Irana back, we have to deal with a Vuzel. We have to deal with a Dark One. So this isn't just, we aren't just doing this because Katrina says we have to. We can also be doing it because we want to save Irana. We want to try to fix this, entrapment of her. So, we are back, where we started, which is always a nice book-endy kind of thing. I like it when things come full circle and you end up back where you started, but stronger and with a new goal this time. That's always nice in a story arc sort of sense. And we are at the hour mark. I'm going to cut here. I thought about powering through, but honestly, I think the whole Dark One cave will probably take another hour, and I need to pause here and go to the restroom. So I'm just going to be honest about that. I can't lie. So I will see you in the next video, which should bring us the mage ending. And then we'll start looking at going into this as a paladin, which I think you'll really like. There's some stuff that we couldn't do this time around that we'll get to do in the next one. That's gonna be fun. I did like, and I'm sad that we can't see the full tarot reading, although I really do hope that by having the rituals already, I hope we didn't lose any dialogue. I hope the whole, but I see you know all about this already, I hope that was just tacked on to the end and we didn't lose any dialogue, because the Fairy Queen one was interesting and obviously will not be repeated because the Fairy Queen is magic user only, and so we won't see that in the Paladin run. But I thought it was interesting that she was like, there's a lot of magical women in your life, and you're looking at Baba Yaga and you're looking at Katrina. It's like, no kidding. So the Fairy Queen was just one more. But that was nice too, because we kind of bumbled into that thinking, oh, well, maybe she'll help with the staff of Arana. And Magda gave the warning that we kind of really needed to have going into that, the warning that she's not our friend, not our ally, and is violent and mean and bad. So, re-enter a cave with rituals gave us 2 points. We should have 338. I don't know if that's right or not. Everything is like 6s and 15s from here on out, so one way or another, we'll either get full points or we won't. But supposedly, I've done everything that a magic user can do. So we will find out. So that's the hour mark. This has been Quest for Glory 4. Once again, my name is Anna Mardal. Thank you for coming along with me. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.